The Flash has been one of DC's heroic titans since the golden age of comic books, and has made several appearances in comics, animation, movies, TV shows, and video games. But sadly, he was never in a solo video game. And to your claim that super speed is impossible, I say
OBJECTION!
That is the most backwards logic you have ever said, and you're a hypocrite, since Sonic the Hedgehog is one of the most iconic video game characters of all time, who is known for super speed. And we have an open world Sonic game, which is Sonic Frontiers. And to be honest, it's pretty open world, very zen and very relaxing as you run around the environment. Plus, making a Flash game would be pretty good. And especially to those who love Flash and DC Comics, including myself, because let's face it, it's been pretty hard as a Flash fan.
It's the Flash! Sorry.
Hey, Metropolis! Do you like live executions? Well, don't touch that dial, or I'll break your fingers.
So, how do we make a video game for the Flash? It's obviously the world of Central City and Keystone City, because in the original prototype game that was cancelled, it needed two cities to run back and forth with. That's basically a really well thought idea, since the Flash can run faster than the speed of light. But what about combat? Well, for combat, the original game had the idea of focusing on crowd control. That is not only a good idea, but it emulates the idea that the Flash can take care of his enemies in a snap. Let's take a page off Sonic Frontiers, combat mechanics and skill trees, and also the targeting system. And while Sonic can use his quick attacks in the air, Flash needs to use his quick attacks on the ground. The only time I know that Flash will fight any of his enemies in the air if it's someone like Weather Wizard. He should have some sort of skills, like throwing lightning, creating tornadoes, and of course running up the walls and even on water. And this game has to be a Flash family game. Now, one thing for sure, if it's going to be multiplayer, I recommend that no microtransactions will be needed, and all the DLCs will be, well, DLCs. And furthermore, the reason why multiplayer is because everybody wants to race each other when it comes to super speed in gaming. Seriously, it's the most obvious thing. But there is one thing I need to address that's important when it comes to the concept of the Flash, and that is no Flashpoint. No Flashpoint. Look, I understand. Flashpoint is the most iconic storyline in the Flash mythos, but everybody knows the story by this point, and it's become extremely repetitive. And using the Flashpoint story arc for a game after we had an animated movie, a TV episode, and a movie is basically the way to tell the audience, yeah, we know the hero because we know his greatest sins and not every single triumph he accomplished, big or small. For this comic, I will be taking a look at one of the more recent Flash story arcs, and one of my more personal favorites, the 1 Minute War. Basically, this story arc is ridiculous. Imagine a war that spans for months, but suppressed down to 1 minute. Crazy, right? You might be thinking, that's bloody impossible. Well, not for the Flash family, it isn't. Basically, the premise of the story is that the Flash family is dragged into a war in Central City where an alien invasion freezes time and begin to harness the Speed Force and basically any other characters with super speed for weaponry. And of course, the whole story takes place in just 1 minute. This story not only brings in fan favorite characters of the Flash family, but it shows how ridiculously fast and in character each one of these members are. When it comes to super speed, Flash an example because it's not just running around really fast, it's running against the fabric of time. And while I do love the 1 minute war, I can agree that there has to be some changes, which I have to agree with. I'm not saying it has to be page by page, I'm just saying there has to be some changes for modernization and the audience can live with. But I said if that's needed. In the original comic, the alien invasion known as the Fraction came in and tried to use the Speed Force and any hero with super speed. But for this game, and if changes are needed, the main antagonist will be, obviously, Eobard Thawne, aka the Reverse Flash. Why would he do this? Because he's the most pettiest character I have ever seen in comic book history, and he makes the Joker's obsession with Batman look normal.
What did I ever do to you?
Almost 2 centuries from right now, we meet for the very first time. For my part, I finally discovered ways to possess speeds faster than anyone alive. And just as I was about to present myself to the world, you showed up. For some stupid case, dazzled the crowd. You were dazzling. And then you saved the crowd. A crowd that I was meant to save. A crowd that was meant to thank me. You stole my greatest moment. I admired you. And you humiliated me. And it was in that moment that I knew I had to get faster than you.
Only a sociopath would react to something so small.
Let's say the Reverse Flash teams up with the organization known as Black Hole to make Speed Force weapons. We're talking about guns, basically transportation. Like, can you imagine a tank with the power of the Speed Force? And of course, Speed Force suits, like in the original prototype game. But he did not do this alone. Similar to the Flash making his family, the Reverse Flash has his family, which of course concludes of Zoom, the Rival, Inertia, Trajectory, Savitar, Cicada, the Thinkerer, Godspeed, and Cobalt Blue. Of course, he wants minions or generals running around his little army as Black Hole takes over, which includes of Captain Boomerang, Captain Cold, Heatwave, Mirror Master, Gorilla Grodd, Weather Wizard, and Golden Glider. So who will be the characters for these games? Who will run around and save the city? Of course, we have Barry Allen, the most iconic Flash, Wally West, Kid Flash, and the fastest Flash in DC Comics, which I hope he is the fastest Flash in this game, Jay Garrick, the first Flash to appear in comic book history, and he's more of a brawler in my opinion, Bart Allen, Barry Allen's grandson, who is very impulsive and I think he has better dodge abilities, Jesse Chambers, aka Jesse Quick, and Avery Ho, the Chinese Flash. And all these characters have different skins and some that will be unlocked in the main campaign. So what will be our map? Of course the map has to be much bigger. 2 different cities that are basically crossing the state line, and we're running back and forth between both of them. That's literally bigger than both Gotham and Metropolis. Of course, due to traversal being the best part about the game, we can wall run, face in certain objects, chase down enemy vehicles, and of course we can do Star Lab speed challenges. There are several safe locations in the map, which of course includes of Barry's apartment, Jay's house, Wally's apartment, Star Labs, and the Flash Museum. But here's the thing, remember I said this takes place in the 1 minute war story arc? The environment is literally frozen in time due to the game's story. and basically everything and everyone is frozen. Well, slowed down to the point it looks like they're frozen. And if we're facing an enemy speedster, well, the entire map will be the arena. I mean, what's the point of fighting a speedster if you're not going to use the entire map as the arena? Take that advantage, take the extra risk, because that's how the Flash fights with a speedster. And of course, the only thing you have to do is catch up to the speedster and punch him and hit him several times and dodge his attacks, but make sure you do not get too far from him. Of course, every game has a moral theme, so what is it? Basically, it's obvious. The moral story is that you can never hold a grudge of what happened in the past and use every bit of time you have left in the world to live your life. Something that Eobard Thawne is basically not used to, because we all know how hell-bent he is when it comes to killing the Flash. But still, I see this game working out slowly. Still, that's my idea of a Flash game. And is there something else you want to add to a Flash game? And have your own ideas and opinions? Well, leave a comment and tell me about it. And as always, thanks for watching.